first, live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Thank you so much for joining us here at the Fox 12 Now desk, the digital desk. And as you know, I'm Katie Sanika, meteorologist here at Fox 12, starting to do these first alert weather segments and going into some topics a little deeper than we get to. And right now, I'm joined by Jim Todd, the Director of Space Science Education at OMSI. You and I were talking the other day, and you got me excited about a topic, so I had to welcome you here with me. Thank you for joining me today.
It's great to be here, Katie.
Yeah, I'm excited. So you said something to me that piqued my interest, and that was the disappearing Milky Way. Can you please just start us off by telling what you meant when you said that to me?
Well, what it really means, though, that is that during the month of May, people would go out and say, "Hey, Jim, I can't find the Milky Way. Where is it?" Well, that's because we're at that time of year that we have the what we call the galactic plane that is parallel to the horizon. Okay? So people would go out and say, "I don't see the Milky Way," but that's where it is. It's along the plane of the Milky Way. So that's what we call the disappearance. It's a fun thing to talk about, and it also makes people aware about what the best time and the opportunity to see the Milky Way during this summer. So we're just starting to see the Milky Way, which is the core, and now we're going to be able to talk about when's the best time to see it.
So that was one of my questions for you is how does the location, you know, like maybe the latitude, longitude of Oregon play and compare to the viewing of it as to other parts of, you know, maybe the United States or even in the world?
Yeah, and this is a really complicated answer because you have to think three-dimensionally when we talk about the Milky Way. And starting in May, we're starting to see what we say the core. It's the center of our Milky Way. You have to remember the Milky Way is a bar spiral galaxy. Okay? And we're 30,000 light years away from the center and 20,000 light years from the edge. During the winter month, when we see the constellation of Orion, we're looking away from the center. Okay? And we're coming up to the summer months, May, June, July, August. Now we're seeing the constellation of Sagittarius, which is going to be emerging from the east, and we're seeing it now. And so that means that we're seeing the best part, or the core, of the Milky Way. So latitude and longitude does make a difference. So when we talk about where to look for it, for our latitude of 45 degrees north, that means that no matter what longitude, it's going to be around the horizon. But if you start heading north, it actually gets lower. If you start heading south towards the equator, it gets higher. And so it's the plane that we're talking about, and the North Galactic Pole, the axis or the axis of the plane, the perpendicular, is directly overhead in May. And so that's where it gets really complicated really fast when you're trying to describe three-dimensionally where is the plane of the Milky Way. But in terms of observation, you'll notice the arch. The arch is starting to emerge from the east. And then each month it's going to get higher and higher and higher. And then that's why people get excited when they see the Milky Way during the summer, because it's at its brightest and at the core. So that's the best way to explain it.
Yeah, so I know we've kind of touched on it kind of already in these conversations, and you talked about, you know, we're getting into the better viewing, but can you just go back and kind of, you know, really hone in on why May is basically the main month, why we can't see it, just specifically why May is like that?
Yeah, why we can't see it is because the plane of the Milky Way is along the horizon, okay? And so not fully displayed, so it's just perfect parallel to the horizon. So if you were to look out and you would look up, you would not be there. So you would see it along the horizon all the way around you. And so that's what we're talking about when we say the disappearance. The Milky Way is still there. It's just what we call the disappearance because it's not in view from our latitude.
So, you know, maybe an example of that is basically like the poles, In summer you have either little or no light at different times of year because it's just basically the angle of our planet. It's kind of that same concept of it's there, like the sun is there, you just don't see it in Alaska at certain times of the year. It doesn't mean the sun is gone. Is that the way I'm
Yep.
kind of understanding it?
Yeah, exactly. So you're spot on that in that view. Yes.
So then what do you know what part of the world we would be able to see it right now? Like what's the opposite, the opposite sort of pole from who can see it right now while we can't?
Yeah, well, if you were to head south, let's say go to San Diego or Hawaii or towards the equator, it will get higher and higher. Okay. And so if you head north, it will actually get lower. Okay. And so if you wanted to see the Milky Way now, go to Hawaii. Okay, that would be a nice place to be anyway right now. Okay, so yeah, and so that's the thing. And so we will get our turn coming next few months. That is going to get higher, and it's going to put on a great show.
So I'm trying to think about, as far as seeing this and stargazing. I know, weather for us, we talk about that. I say, there's no direct connection between, this and our weather patterns, but there's definitely a connection with whether we can see these things or not. And here in Oregon, going to the other side of the Cascades, you typically get a better view, because of the lack of clouds. We don't rain as much over there. It's darker over there. But if anybody couldn't go to the other side of the Cascades, is there anywhere within our region that they could get a better view, whether it's the gorge or the coast or south in the valley? Where might somebody be able to see it better when it's at its best, its brightest?
Yeah, and you're exactly right. What we notice as astronomers in Oregon, we get the best viewing during the summer months, okay? And we get beautiful skies throughout the summer. The valley tends to be, of course, we get more moisture in the air. So we have the thing called transparency, okay? And so we want to be able to have drier air, per se, to be able to have good, clear, transparent sky. To be able to see the Milky Way. Of course, getting away from the light pollution is a big factor too, and not having a full moon. Okay, so
that was my next question.
yeah. But if you were to go to the east side of the Cascade, you have a better chance because you have higher altitude. The air tends to be drier, and the skies are much more transparent, and you have less light pollution. And so those all come into play. Eddie, you'd be surprised how many people have never seen the Milky Way in their life, particularly in the valley. And so, because we have so much light now in the city, they have never seen the Milky Way. They don't know how to look for or what to look for. And so it's been studied many times before that many have never seen the Milky Way. And Oregon is one of the best in the nation as far as providing dark skies, in particular in Central Oregon and Southern Oregon, because of our population, but of our location and our weather and our transparent skies. We have less humidity over on the central and southern skies. So other than Texas, we have the best sky in the nation, and we have astronomers coming out during the summer for the star parties and the Oregon star parties and all of that. That's what makes Oregon unique in that fashion, be able to see the Milky Way.
I have some extended family members who do the star party every year. They love that. So I haven't got a chance to go myself, but that's something I think I should put on my bucket list. So let's come up with a bullet point list here for anybody who's watching or listening, that if they wanted to check off, okay, I want to plan a summer trip to go see it. Let's say best month, best location, best sky conditions, best temperatures. Like, give me kind of a quick hit list of how somebody could set up themselves just the best possible way to see the most magnificent viewing of the Milky Way.
Yeah, there's a lot of wonderful websites that you can check on. It's a, for one, dark sky location. You go to a website that provides that information. It's saying, where are the best dark sky location in Oregon? And I generally say the Oregon State Parks are very proactive about this, and they're very much involved in this kind of thing, that They really want people to go out and enjoy the night sky. So check out the Oregon State Park. It's a good start right there. And some communities have what we call Dark Sky Festival, or they have star parties. Even OMSI have the star parties throughout the summer at Stuart State Park, where people come out. We can actually see the Milky Way out there, because it's just dark enough. We could see the band, as long as we don't have the moon, but we get quite a turnout for those, and people love to be interacting with the real sky, looking at the real sky, learning something new. And then when they go home, they realize they can't see it. But Central Oregon, Southern Oregon, Bend, Sisters, the Cave, and those are some of the what we call dark sky sites. That you can go out in the city and look up, and there's the Milky Way. Unfortunately, Portland is not that, right? But we're trying to educate people to understand where to find them, how to see them, and appreciate the value of how we're going to preserve our view of the Milky Way and our night sky, in particular in Oregon.
So we're looking at dark sky, no moonlight, low humidity. I'm trying to think if there was any other, in July maybe or August timing?
Well, you have the horizon. You need a good horizon, not a lot of trees around you.
Oh,
And that's the tricky part. Yeah, so we have all these tall Douglas firs and what have you, You want to be able to get out to the open spot. Usually like a lake is a good idea. So you can get some beautiful shots, but you do a DSLR camera or even a smartphone. They're amazing now to capture these images. And all of the things, all the points that you just talked about are big factors in determining your location. I do want to point out that people say, how can I see this 360-degree disappearance of the Milky Way? Well, you really can't unless you're out in the middle of the ocean with the true horizon. Then you can see the 360 degrees, but you see portions of it. So that's a really important thing to talk about.
Well, you have answered all the questions that I could think of. I always like to give an opportunity for you to bring up or share anything or say anything that I did not think about asking, because I can't think of everything. So is there anything that you want to share before we finish up here?
Yeah, what I want to point out is that when we're looking at the Milky Way in the summer, we're looking at the core. So look towards the constellation of Sagittarius, okay? And it's a teapot pattern that starts. Get those wonderful astronomy apps that you can go out and help you guide you to find those, the location. And then above Sagittarius is that region of the Milky Way called the Great Rift. This is the brightest portion of the Milky Way, and it is spectacular and a good dark sky. And if you're out in Central Oregon, there's been a few times that you can actually stand out there and you get the shadow on the ground from the light, the starlight, and the Milky Way is so bright and vivid that you can actually get a shadow. We're not talking about the moon. It's not there. And so if that's any indication how spectacular it is, that's what it's going out for. So in the month of May, June, July, August, the arch of the Milky Way be overhead. Okay, so you go out there after sunset, around midnight, there it is. There's the great show, and that's what people love to look at. And in that Milky Way, you want to think about this too, is that you're looking at the millions of stars, all the different ages. You're looking back in time. You're looking at 1,000 or even millions of light years for these photons have left the stars and now reach your eye tonight. And while you're at it, if you want to, look at the Andromeda galaxy. Okay, this is the closest galaxy to our own. And you can see a spiral galaxy. And then during the month of May, too, Katie, is that overhead, we're looking at our local group. Within thousands of our neighbors of the galaxy, outside of our own Milky Way. So you can see there's a lot to talk about. That's what the beauty of astronomy and talking about the night sky. There is so much to share. And so just to start with understanding the Milky Way, get people excited and want to go out to observe.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to join us here today. I would love to get more in depth with this, but I think we're running out of time. So we'll keep talking. We'll keep getting more exciting, events and things coming up and stuff to talk about here with you. So we'll keep you on speed dial so that way we can check in again with you when the next fun topic comes up.
Okay, thank you, Katie. It's a pleasure.